Beauty to me means recognizing and appreciating the energy that a person sort of emits and exudes from them. From right inside their soul, inside their heart, out of them. Because I think, for me especially, I've grown up so much in looking at the superficial side of beauty. We look at, I think all of us, we see beauty for what it is and how pretty a girl is and what they look like and how they dress. And I think for me over time, I've just come to realize that it really is so much more about what's inside of you and really that energy. And I love seeing the positive, happy energy and aura that shines from inside to outside of a person. I was very aware of my skin color growing up because my mother is Irish, my father is Malaysian of Indian descent, and I grew up recognizing sort of white privilege, if you want to put it that way, that, being out with my mother and you get more in life. It was almost like, yay, this has its perks, sort of associating yourself with having fair skin and being white. But I also quickly saw the other side of things where it was, oh, why do you play in the sun? You're going to get dark. And, for my younger sister, it was, oh, why are you so dark? You should stop swimming. And balancing those two aspects of your life. And so, yes, I saw that a lot of people had bias and prejudice against darker skin, and they saw it as a negative. So it was like the darker you were, the worse it was. And having fair skin meant, yay, all things are good. I think it affected me in a way where I kind of had a little bit of an identity issue where, well, who am I? Who do I want to be more of? And is one side better than the other as a child? And so I think when I was in Malaysia, I was like more Irish, and when I was in Ireland, I was more Malaysian. And that's kind of how I came to terms with it. But then obviously as you get older, in my teen years, and then when I started modeling, then I kind of saw a lot of things for the commercial value, the business value, and I would perhaps not get certain jobs because of ethnicity or your skin color, or they wanted someone more fair. And so you then see a lot of this play into the different businesses and industries. If anything, it's just made me more confident about who I am and to embrace who I am as a person and to not allow things to hold you back. To me now, it's very much encouraging individuals, and especially say myself, in how the decisions I make in my life to not perpetuate prejudice or bias and to stand up for what I believe in. And I think all of us can play a role by, in our own lives, making small decisions that eventually will sort of affect how people perceive skin color. And it's really not something about what's good and what's bad. I think it's evolution, it's mankind's evolution. We adapt to our environments and where we lived, and that really determines our features and our skin color. And it's really not a question of a hierarchy or a caste system of what's better or worse. I think my skin color has not been a massive issue with me getting work. I have a tanned skin, but if I were to be very honest, I'm not very tanned. I'm not super fair, but my skin is acceptable, if I were to put it that way, in terms of getting sort of mainstream work and mainstream jobs. So I've not encountered a lot of issues, but I will say that a lot of skincare and shampoo commercials, I was sort of not a choice. Very much because it targeted a certain group, a certain demographic of people, and I, having Indian ethnicity and Indian blood, was not, didn't fit into that target. And so very often it was, oh, but then she's going to appeal to a different group and therefore we don't want her. So it was not based on me as a person and what I look like and who I am, but it was sort of based on my ethnicity, and perhaps my name, my Indian name, and also, and therefore it held me back. So it did work out in ways like that, where I would have liked to have seen where, in an industry where you've worked in for 20 years, that people would see beyond that, and you would be appreciated for who you are and not so much race or the skin color that you have. I think social media has opened the world to all of us. The fact of the matter is we often fear what we don't know, and with Instagram, with Facebook, with access to the world at the click of a button, we're now learning about the world. We're learning about how diverse it is, how different it is, how people do things differently, and how people have very different definitions of beauty and appreciate such a wide spectrum of things. And so it really kind of makes us check ourselves, for me anyway, to really question myself like, wow, people living in this small country in Africa or in Southeast Asia or in South America define beauty like so. And they have very different perspectives on it. And so I think it just opens up our eyes to the world. And very often many of us live in our little bubbles, and for us to realize, oh wow, it's much bigger than us. And there is really no one clear definition of beauty. And I think it also gives opportunity to individuals, to smaller brands, smaller companies, to talk about what matters to them and what beauty is to them. So I think it's given power to individuals to really be able to express themselves. And I think when it comes to beauty and even skin color, it's become a massive question of confidence and identity. We're ashamed, we feel bad, we feel not inadequate. And when you see other people talk about and uplift something that you can identify with, then it makes you feel better about yourself, to be successful. And so in building confidence, it's feeling successful and feeling recognized, and that further builds confidence. So it is sort of a cycle of when you feel good about yourself, you're more empowered to do more, and that in turn makes you feel better. Really, the definition of beauty, or the appreciation of beauty, starting with us. It's in every individual who can, as a mother with your child, as a guy with your friend or with your kids, starting to really address it in very personal relationships. When you catch yourself being prejudiced or being biased, to stop yourself and to then correct it. And when we can start doing that in our personal lives, it will expand to the business world, it will expand to decisions we make, and eventually we will totally shift how we talk about beauty and how we perceive it. And then one fine day, it's not going to be about, bringing dark-skinned girls into the mainstream, but that will be the norm. Well, I think being a model in the fashion and entertainment industry, you learn very early on in life to accept that every single person is going to have an opinion and going to have judgment. And if you can't deal with it, then get out of there, essentially. It is an industry that's very much based on the superficial side of beauty, which is how you look, how you dress. And so people are going to have opinions. It's human nature. What has made it a lot, and I think I've accepted that very early on, and I was very used to it. I don't expect everyone to love me. I don't expect everyone to think I'm beautiful. I don't expect everyone to think whatever of me. Everyone has the right to an opinion. However, with social media, people have, as we call them, keyboard warriors, people have sort of taken it to a whole new level where they think it's their right to just pass any form of judgment upon you. And because it's shielded behind a bunch of keys that you type, you don't feel the emotion of those words. And so I always say this, if you wouldn't say it to my face, then don't write it on the internet. Because if you want to tell a girlfriend about something, go ahead. It's your opinion, you're entitled to. But if you want to share it on the internet where millions of people can see it and you put your name to it, then if you wouldn't say it to my face, then perhaps you should think twice about typing it. And also I ask the question, what is your intention? Is your intention to hurt? Is your intention to improve? Is your intention to give me advice? And based on that, make a decision as to what you're going to say and if you should really say it. So that's one thing. But it happens. People have opinions, comments. They talk about you like you're a thing, and it happens with actors and celebrities in Hollywood all over the world. We judge we take away the humaneness out of them. They're these objects that we can literally cut up into a million pieces, and we feel no emotion for it, which I think is very harsh. So remember that people are humans and have feelings and emotions. And yes, on one hand, we put ourselves out there into the public eye, and we need to accept that whatever we put on social media, people are going to comment for better or for worse. We need to accept it. But I would also just, I'd encourage people to think twice about what you say and ask yourself, what is the goal? What is the intention behind your words before you write something? I do not use makeup every day. If I could, I would never use makeup. I only use makeup very much when I'm working. If I've got meetings and things like that, and I've had sort of a long week and my eyes look a little bit tired, I will use very basic makeup. So I'm one of those girls who I use concealer, an eyebrow pencil, a little bit of mascara and blush, and a bit of Vaseline, and I'm good to go. So it is a very simple makeup routine for me, because I think when I'm doing shoots and events and shows, makeup is so heavy and it's taken a toll on my skin. So I like to keep it very simple, and I guess it would be enhancing features. On a day-to-day basis, it's just about enhancing what you have and making you look fresh, making you look alive, adding a little bit of glow to you. Of course, I do have fun, like given that modeling was, sort of was a first love, something I started off doing very young. Transformation that's what the industry is about. It's being able to play different roles, to dress up different characters, and I do love that side of things. So sometimes, and I get to do this probably mostly in shows and shoots, where you get to really transform into something else, and that's where makeup really can play that role. And it's got an amazing transformational power, I think. Dressing up, looking good, really transforms you and helps you feel confident, makes you feel so good as well from inside out. So that also is such an important thing that we shouldn't forget.